It was well past sunset when they arrived at Ristorante Aroma, a rooftop gem overlooking the Colosseum, where the view alone could steal your breath. But even with the ancient ruins glowing softly in the distance and the scent of lemon and rosemary drifting from the kitchen, all eyes, quietly, curiously, found their way to David Licauco and Barbie Forteza. They didn't come in loudly. There was no announcement, no table cleared in a rush. They were just there, walking in together, his hand resting gently at the small of her back as the host guided them to a table near the edge. The kind of seat you reserve for something special. From the first moment they sat down, it was clear. This wasn't just dinner. There was something different in the way he looked at her, calmer, softer. And she, always warm and composed, let her guard down completely, laughing without hesitation, her smile staying long after the joke had passed. They weren't focused on the menu, though they did order slowly, thoughtfully. A bottle of Barolo between them, truffle risotto, fresh sea bass. But the food felt secondary. He leaned in when she spoke, elbow on the table, fingers half curled around his wine glass. She reached across, brushing something from his cheek, and left her hand there a second longer than she needed to. And just like that, the space between them felt charged in a quiet, private way. When they kissed, it wasn't dramatic. No one gasped. It was the kind of kiss that felt inevitable, deep and slow, like a thought that had finally found its words. Her hand was on his chest, his fingers resting lightly on her jaw. The city moved on around them, cars below, waiters weaving between tables, but in that moment nothing moved at all. They didn't speak right after. Just looked at each other, like they both knew this night would stay with them. And maybe that's what made it feel so real. There was no performance, no urgency. Just a kind of peace between them, like they'd stopped trying to figure anything out and simply decided to feel what was already there. Somewhere between the second course and dessert, she reached for his hand again, threading her fingers through his like she didn't want to let go. And he didn't pull away. He just smiled quietly and brought her hand to his lips. A small gesture but sincere, the kind that lingers. They stayed until the candles had burned low, until the waiters began sweeping under tables and the last few guests drifted out. But even then they didn't rush. They sat back, watching the lights of Rome flicker, his arm around her shoulders, her head resting against him like it belonged there. When they finally stood and made their way out, the city seemed to hum a little softer. They walked down the steps slowly, fingers still linked, and disappeared into the Roman night. Not as celebrities, not as headlines, just two people who had finally stopped pretending they weren't in love.